Alright, Kenny here. Another deep video that will really get you guys in the right state of mind when it comes to pickup and life in general. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Now, what the fuck does that mean? Sounds pretty vague, but I'll explain. Alright. One of the main things that deter men from getting laid or getting the woman that they want or approaching women, and I've dealt with a few of these variables in my last two videos, but this one is actually key. And for instance, like, let's say you're a social guy, or you're a guy who's trying to meld himself into the social lifestyle, into the nightlife scenery, or wherever it could be, every day, doesn't matter. But you know, you're struggling with these inhibitions of actually getting out there and putting yourself out there on the line. And the reality is, when you're scared to put yourself out there, or you're so, how can I say it, isolated and trapped into your own comfort zone, you don't know what you're missing out on out there. And I'll give a good example of actually not putting yourself out there and being comfortable with the uncomfortable. For instance, you're at a party, you're at a club, you're at a nightclub, you're at a bar. You spot a 3-set, a 2-set, or a lone wolf. You spot a girl who's by herself, and you want to talk to her, you want to chat her up, you want to get to know her, you want to get acquainted. Cool, there's no problem with that. But there is a problem, and it is your own mind that's telling you it's too uncomfortable to do. It requires too much effort to actually go talk to this girl. It's too uncomfortable. I can't do it. I won't do it. And you'll go home alone that night. For the simple fact that you were too fucking scared to actually get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And like I said, this transcends every aspect of life. It's not only pickup, it's not only fucking chicks. You know, it could be in a job environment. It can be at school, you know, excelling and so forth in sports. You know, this transcends every genre of life. And one of the ways that I learned to get over this, and this is some years ago, I've learned to get comfortable in the uncomfortable by actually going to a club one night. And I can't even remember which pickup site that I read this on, but it was some years ago. And the tip was basically saying to go to the club and so forth and do this certain, you know, this certain, whatever you want to call it. And it'll help you to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I was like, okay, cool, whatever, fuck it, I'll try it. So one night I went to the club, and I actually stood in the midst of the club. I stood in the middle, the very middle of the nightclub, where the most spotlight was centered, and I stood there for 5 minutes by myself. Right there in the spotlight, under the spotlight. Everyone's seeing me. Sure, I look weird and I look, you know, like, what the fuck is this crazy dude? What is he doing? You know, but it was actually training me to become comfortable with uncomfortable things. So I was in the middle of the spotlight, in the nightclub, hundreds of people around me, and I was just soaking it up. I was soaking up the uncomfortable feeling. And after 3 minutes, that shit melted the fuck away. The uncomfortable feeling, the insecurities actually melted away. Just by doing that one ritual of putting myself in the spotlight, right in the center stage of this nightclub where everyone could see me. Everyone could see my perfections, imperfections, and so forth. And it didn't matter after 3 minutes. I was oozing confidence and comfort. And lucky enough, from there on out and during the night, I was just, there were no such thing as anxiety, social or approach anxiety. Every woman in the nightclub, was my target, basically. And rejection didn't matter, because I was known as the guy who stood in the spotlight and soaked it all up. So me getting rejected by some girl who refused to talk to me as I approach or whatever, it just wouldn't matter. I was so much in the comfort zone, the comfortable zone that I created, that it didn't matter. So I was right there in the spotlight soaking everything up. And I was getting blown out, rejected by a girl here, a girl there, and it didn't matter. I just soaked it up. I laughed about it. And during the night, I had certain, other times during the night, I would approach the same girls again who had rejected me. And, I was able to pull. I was able to have great conversations with them, despite being rejected on the initial attempt. But the fact that I was so comfortable after doing this exercise of getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, inside of the uncomfortable, it reinforced this sort of aura, this alpha aura, that's like, I'm so fucking untouchable. And that's the mentality you want to harbor. You want to have that mentality, regardless. Like I said, whether you're in a work environment, whether you're fucking girls, you're picking up girls, street game, day game, night game, this is the mentality you want to have. There's 5 girls standing over there. To approach them would be a very uncomfortable venture. So fucking what? Let me go do the uncomfortable. Let me go approach these 5 girls. And soak it all up. Soak up this energy. And transform it into something of comfort. Now this sounds zen-like and woo and spiritual. But it's actually not. It is a very, very simple concept. You're forcing yourself to do what you wouldn't normally do under normal circumstances. You're forcing yourself to do what makes you feel uncomfortable. So basically, if there's something in life in general that makes you feel super uncomfortable, go fucking do it. Go do it. Alright, on a personal level, I'm scared of rats. Alright? I'm dead fucking scared of rats. Now, what I did to actually deal with my rat phobia? I actually went inside of an abandoned building after dark. It's about 9 p.m. I sat inside on the floor of this abandoned apartment building for 3 hours, sitting there in the uncomfortable, facing my fear of rats in an abandoned building, sitting on the floor for 3 hours. And there were rats running left to right, just like almost literally running across my feet. Sure, I was scared shit. But after 5 minutes, hey baby, I was cool as fuck. It didn't matter. Those rats did not matter. I was able to conquer that fear of the uncomfortable, doing something, putting myself out there in uncomfortable situations that would otherwise make me just explode in fear. But I was able to, just from that one exercise with rats and my fear of rats, I was able to eliminate that extreme fear of rats. And so it's basically, it ties into any fear that you might have, any situation that might make you feel uncomfortable. Whatever it might be, just, You know, even if you gotta jot it down, write it down. Hey, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that, I'm scared of the spotlight, I'm scared to eat in public, I'm scared to shit in public, I'm scared to fart in public. Whatever it may be, write it down. Write down your fears and what makes you feel uncomfortable. And you actually do them. That's it. You know, if you've been following my videos for, you know, a few months, you would have seen the one where I was in the water. I had a mean head cold, so I went to the salt water. This is when I was in the island of Barbuda, and you know, I took a swim, and I actually recorded the whole video. You should check it out. You know, I think it's called POA at the Sea or some shit like that. Whatever, check it out. You know, search my videos. And I'm in the water, and I was actually speaking about past experiences when it comes to social anxiety and so forth. I grew up as a scared fucking cat. That's the way I grew up. I mean, I was like introverted to the max. I was antisocial to a fault. And I was scared to eat in front of people. More so chicks. I was scared to eat around or in front of girls. Even in school, I didn't eat in the cafeteria because, you know, I was scared of fucking up in front of girls. I sort of had a weird fear of ketchup being, you know, all over my face and shit while girls laughing at me. You know, some weird shit like that. So I would never eat in front of girls. I would never eat around girls. And into my adulthood, I actually carried this with me, this sort of uncomfortable fear, this feeling. You know, and when I discovered the pickup community, you know, and I started dealing with these issues, you know, I became comfortable with the uncomfortable, where I was now able to do shit that I weren't able to do my whole life. Like I said, pig the fuck out in front of girls at a restaurant. Didn't give a shit, just eating. I don't care. You know, I'll go to the bakery, buy a cinnamon roll or some shit, and I would just eat in front of women on the streets. I would be walking, eating. I would be on a bus, eating. And you know, for someone who doesn't struggle with this may seem a little like weird, like it's no big deal to eat in front of people. But for me, it was a big deal. But I was able to get over it. So I just want you guys to remember that. Any fear that you have, anything that's making you feel uncomfortable, go do it. Go put yourself in that uncomfortable situation. And believe me, few tries of doing this over the course of a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, however you want to work it out, and you're going to get over that fear. You're going to start becoming comfortable with uncomfortable situations. 3 girls standing over there, you're going to now be able to approach them and don't give a fuck. You'll be rock solid like ice, a block of ice. You won't care about getting rejected. Because you'll be comfortable with a once uncomfortable situation.